मीडिया वेव्स के प्लेटफॉर्म तो खबरां दा लेखा जोखा प्रोग्राम के अंतर्गत आप सब का निੱਘਾ स्वागत है जी आयां ਨੂੰ।
Khabran Da Lekha Jokha, May 24, 2024, has been sponsored by Hanif Litigation. Any criminal or regulatory law matters, contact Hanif Litigation lawyer Shahid Hanif, 604-626-3144. Board orders deportation for trucker in horrific Humboldt Broncos crash. The truck driver who caused the horrific bus crash involving the Humboldt Broncos junior hockey team has been ordered to be deported. The decision came this morning at an immigration board and refugee hearing in Calgary for Jaskirat Singh Sidhu. Sidhu's lawyer has said the decision was a foregone conclusion as all that's required to deport Sidhu is proof that he's not a Canadian citizen and he committed a serious crime. It's pretty open and shut, Michael Green said in an interview with the Canadian press. There's nothing to contest, so those are as clear as day. These hearings are usually done lickety split. Sidhu, a rookie truck driver from Calgary, barreled threw a stop sign into the path of a junior hockey team's bus at a rural intersection near Tisdale, Saskatoon in 2018. 16 people on the bus were killed and 13 were injured. Sidhu pleaded guilty to dangerous driving offenses and was sentenced to 8 years in prison. He was granted full parole last year. Sidhu is from India and has permanent resident status in Canada. 2 years ago, the Canadian Border Service Agency recommended deportation and Green went to court to fight it. In December, the federal court dismissed applications from Green, who had argued border officials didn't consider Sidhu's previously clean criminal record and remorse. He wanted the court to order the border agency to conduct a second review. This is part of the sadness of the whole process. We are left with a situation where permanent residents have no rights whatsoever to have their personal circumstances considered, Green said. Our only mechanism is that after he's ordered deported, we're going to ask them to give back his permanent resident status based on humanitarian grounds. But in the meantime, he has no status. His lawyer has said there are still numerous other legal procedures to come, and the deportation process could take months or years.
ਇਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਮੰਦਭਾਗੀ ਘਟਨਾ ਜਿਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿ ਨੌਜਵਾਨ 16 ਖਿਡਾਰੀਆਂ ਦੀ ਮੌਤ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਸੀ ਔਰ ਉਸਦੇ ਡਰਾਈਵਰ ਸਿੱਧੂ ਨੂੰ ਹੁਣ ਦੇਸ਼ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਬਾਹਰ ਜਾਣ ਦੇ ਡਿਪੋਰਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਰਡਰ ਨੇ ਦੇ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਗਏ ਨੇ। ਸਿਚੁਏਸ਼ਨ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਤਰਸਯੋਗ ਵੀ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਇਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਨਾਲ ਵਕੀਲ ਦਾ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਕਿ ਪਰਮਾਨੈਂਟ ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟਸ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੱਕ ਹਲੂਲ ਨੇ उन्ना दे बारे चेतन होने की भी ज़रूरत है।
वैसे काफ़ी लोगों ने सिद्धू के लिए प्लीड किया था कि ही शुड बी कंसिडर्ड एज ह्यूमैनिटेरियन ग्राउंड्स दे विच कि डिपोर्ट ना किया जाए। वी इवन हैड कपल टॉक शोज ऑन आवर स्टेशन एज वेल, लेकिन अनफॉर्चुनेटली इट्स अ टाइम दैट ही हैज़ टू बी डिपोर्टेड। वेल होपफुली दे गिव हिम टू कीप हिज परमानेंट रेसिडेंट स्टेटस। London drugs right not to give into cyber criminals' demands, says expert. After the criminal group that threatened London drugs released stolen employee data on Thursday, one cybersecurity expert believes the company was right not to give in to the criminals' demands. According to MC Soft cyber threat analyst Brad Callow, it appears that the files leaked total more than 300 gigabytes in size, calling it a huge amount. Unfortunately, incidents like this happen all the time, said Callow. He added that in some cases, some of the data released is extremely sensitive.
लंडन ड्रग का जी आखिरकार राशन उन्होंने अपनी जिन्होंने डाटा चोरी किया सी अपनी कही भगा दी है और नाल दी नाल मारन का यह गल तो कहना है कि इस तरह के जोड़े साइबर अटैक करते हैं किसी भी कंपनियां दे जां किसी भी अदारे दे उन्हां दी मंगां नूं मनना नहीं चाहिए। ये होर ज़्यादा उन्हां नूं प्रोत्साहित करता है ये गलत काम करने लई।
BC announces Langley phase of Highway 1 expansion. The BC government announced its plans to widen Highway 1 through Langley this summer. The province's construction will begin this summer on a new 232nd Street interchange as part of the Fraser Valley Highway 1 corridor improvement program. It also plans to widen roughly 10 kilometers along Highway 1. The wider highway will accommodate eastbound and westbound HOV and electric vehicle lanes in the median lane between the 216th Street and 264th Street interchanges. BC's Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure, Rob Fleming, claims widening the highway will provide relief for traffic congestion in the Fraser Valley. This is important progress in our plan to improve and widen Highway 1 through to Chilliwack so we can improve travel and transit services for people in the Fraser Valley, said Fleming. The province says a $140 million contract for the highway expansion work has been given to a joint venture between BD Hall Construction Corporation and Jacob Brothers Construction Incorporation. In a release Thursday, the government said work is almost complete on another portion of the Fraser Valley Highway 1 improvements. A wider, higher Glover Road crossing over Highway 1 will open in the coming days, restoring this important route for township of Langley residents and providing a safer crossing for pedestrians and cyclists. Megan Dykeman, the MLA for Langley East, thanked drivers for their patience during the completion of a much needed project.
ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਹਾਈਵੇ 1 ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਿਸ਼ਤਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਨਾ ਚੜਾਈ ਵੱਧ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਦਾ ਹੀ ਅਗਲਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਜੈਕਟ ਕੱਲ ਐਲਾਨਿਆ ਗਿਆ ਤੇ ਇਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਆਸ਼ਾ ਨਾਲ ਤਕਰੀਬਨ ਬੋਟਲ ਨੈਕ ਹੀ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ 232 ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ 264 ਦੇ ਦਰਮਿਆਨ ਔਰ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਫਰੇਜ਼ਰ ਵੈਲੀ ਦਾ ਸਾਰਾ ਟ੍ਰੈਫਿਕ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਜਾਮ ਹੀ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ
Canada Border Services employees' vote in favor of strike action could create issues at border this summer. More than 9,000 members of the Public Service Alliance of Canada who work for the Canada Border Services agencies have voted overwhelmingly for a strike mandate, the union said Friday. This could lead to significant disruptions to the flow of goods, services, and people at Canadian ports of entry during the busy summer season. Strike votes held from April 10 to May 23rd. 96% of members are in favor of taking job action, the PSAC says. Taking job action is always a last resort, but this strong strike mandate underscores that our members are prepared to do what it takes to secure a fair contract. Chris Alwood, PSAC national president, said in a statement, unless they want a repeat of 2001, Treasury Board and CBSA must be prepared to come to the table with a fair offer that addresses our key issues. Job action by CBSA workers in 2021 ended following a 36-hour bargaining session following major delays at airports and borders across the country, prompted by a new standstill of commercial cross-border traffic. Workers impacted by the strike notice include border service officers at airports, land entry points, marine ports and commercial ports of entry, inland enforcement officers, intelligence officers, investigators, trade officers and non-uniformed headquarters staffs. According to the PSAC, workers have been without a contract for over 2 years. Members claim the Treasury Board and CBSA and still not ready to negotiate an agreement that protects workers and continue to demand concession at the bargaining table.
ਅੱਛਾ ਨਾ ਵੱਡਾ ਸਾਰੇ ਯੂਨੀਅਨ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾਤਰ ਕੰਮ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਦੇਸ਼ ਦੇ ਐਂਟਰੀ ਪੁਆਇੰਟਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸੰਬੰਧਿਤ ਹੈ ਚਾਹੇ ਹਵਾਈ ਹੋਵੇ ਤੇ ਚਾਹੇ ਹਵਾ ਪਾਣੀ ਰਾਹੀਂ ਹੋਵੇ ਤੇ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਹੋਵੇ ਸੜਕ ਦੇ ਰਾਹੀਂ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਵੱਡੀ ਸਟ੍ਰਾਈਕ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ 96% ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਸਾਡਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ 2 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਕੰਟਰੈਕਟ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਦੀ ਬਹਾਲੀ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਬਿਹਤਰੀਨ ਕੰਟਰੈਕਟ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਸਟ੍ਰਾਈਕ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅਸਰ ਤਾਂ ਕਰੇਗੀ ਆਸ਼ਾ ਚਾਹੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਹਾਜ਼ ਰਾਹੀਂ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਚਾਹੇ ਸੜਕਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਤੇ ਚਾਹੇ ਫਿਰ ਪਾਣੀ ਦੇ ਰਾਹੀਂ
बिल्कुल इसके साथ साथ दीदी as we discussed yesterday in the news, top UN court orders Israel to halt military offensive in Rafah. Israel is likely to comply. The top United Nations court ordered Israel on Friday to immediately halt its military offensive in the southern Gaza city of Rafah, but stopped short of ordering ceasefire for the enclave. Although Israel is unlikely to comply with the order, it will ratchet up the pressure on the increasingly isolated country. Criticism of Israel's conduct in the war in Gaza has been growing, particularly once it turned the focus to Rafah. This week alone, 3 European countries announced that they would recognize a Palestinian state, and the chief prosecutor for another international court requested arrest warrants for Israeli leaders along with Hamas officials.
ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਆਸ਼ਾ ਨੇ UN ਵੱਲੋਂ ਇਹ ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਕੋਰਟ ਆਰਡਰ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਜ਼ਰਾਈਲ ਨੂੰ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਗਏ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਰਫਾ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਅਟੈਕ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਯਕਦਮ ਬੰਦ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਵੇ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਆਸ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਜ਼ਰਾਈਲ ਇਸ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਦੇਸ਼ ਨੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਪਾਲਣਾ ਕਰੇਗਾ, ਪਰ ਕਰ ਲੈਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਮਨੁੱਖੀ ਘਾਣ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹ ਹੱਦ ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਬੇਅੰਤ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ।
और दोस्तों, इसी के साथ खबरों दा लेखा जोखा प्रोग्राम से इजाजत दीजिए। Until next time, goodbye, be safe.